Okay, we're going to call this Finance Committee meeting to order. Present are council members Frazier, Cost, Bubb, Blake, and Marmee. First item on the agenda is a request for legislation authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $2 million Buckeye Corridor Stormwater Plan Sewer Improvement Bonds for the purpose of refunding outstanding bond anticipation notes previously issued for the purpose of paying the cost of Buckeye Corridor Stormwater Plan Sewer Improvements, together with necessary appurtenances thereto, and declaring an emergency.
The Buckeye Corridor stormwater note has been around for quite some time, and it had been combined with some other water issues that have since moved on to revenue bonds. So this is just the remaining amount of the note, and we need to do something with it, so we're going to go ahead and issue bonds.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Bubb, second by Frazier. Questions and or discussion? Yes, sir.
Stephen Smith, 237 Violet Court. I have no real question about this issue, other than the fact that I didn't hear any of it because apparently was not talking into the microphone because it was turned around. So
it's the microphone above.
At any rate, whatever, I had no understanding of what he said at all.
Okay, basically it's a note that has been on the books for a while. This is what's remaining of it. Instead of, we're going to turn it into bonds, and that's what they're asking for the legislation for. Yes, Mr. Frazier.
We have an anticipated interest rate. What are you expecting the interest rate to be on the bonds?
I can anticipate around 4%. I'm not sure if that's what it'll be, but with these things, you don't know until you place the bond.
And it's written as up to 6%, right? And so that's...
Yeah, some of those were written up to 3%, and I had to come back, so I asked him to move it up. And I want to apologize. I'm losing my voice, so I'm trying to talk softly.
Okay.
And then,
Sure.
Is this through April? Is that when this comes due, or how long? When will we have to revisit this again? Or will we have to revisit this again?
You won't revisit this one. The bonds will be issued in April, and that's it.
Okay.
It'll be a long-term debt at that point.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is a request for legislation and ordinance to provide for the issuance of not to exceed $1.125 million of bond anticipated notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying the cost of Church Street area improvements and repair, including electrical, sidewalk, street, and streetscape, and all necessary appurtenances thereto.
This note was a one-year note. It was issued about this time last year just to finish up the downtown project, the Church Street portion. This will be a one-year note due in 1 year, and at that time there may be something we can combine with this for a bond issue. If not, we'll just issue bonds for this, but we'll renew it for 1 more year.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bubb, second by Cost. Any further questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a request for legislation authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Newark to submit an application to the Ohio Department of Public Safety for an award of fiscal year 2019 and 2020 funding under the Ohio EMS Training and Equipment Grant Program.
This is our annual request to the state that helps us purchase supplies for the EMS services.
Make a motion.
Motion by Frazier, second by Cost. Any questions and/or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $51,550.
A few years ago, we did something called a refunding issue for some older bonds that had higher interest rates, and they were reissued at a much more favorable rate. However, some of the bonds weren't recallable, and we had to pay interest for a few more years. So this is an appropriation to transfer the money into debt service to pay the final interest payment on those refunded bonds.
Motion.
Motion by Frazier, second by Bub. Any questions and/or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is an appropriation from debts 422 Debt Services Fund for the same amount of $51,550.
After the transfer is made, this will appropriate the funds so we can pay the interest.
Motion.
Motion by Frazier, second by Bub. Questions and/or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation amount of $2,444.58.
Good evening. This is appropriation request out of the intra-government fund so that I can do the fourth quarter 2018 distribution to the Pataskala Jet.
Motion.
Motion by Frazier, second by Bub. Questions and/or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. And the last item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $139,820.48.
This is the same instance, only coming out of the Jet Z1 distribution.
Motion.
Motion by Frazier, second by Cost. Any questions and/or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
And with that, this meeting stands adjourned. Next up is service.
We'll call the Service Committee meeting to order. Those present are myself, Rath, Cost, Bub, Blake, and Lang. Up first, we'll consider resolution number 19-14, authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service to enter into a lease agreement with Selective Site Consultants regarding land at the City of Newark Service Complex.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've been working with the company Selective Site Consultants. What they do is they go out and they hunt and peck for sites to put cell towers on or to put big dishes on. We've talked about the service complex a couple times. They've got an interest in it, but I really don't have the opportunity to negotiate a deal yet until you guys give me the authority to do so. We have a couple like deals in the area. We did one on Sharon Valley Road and the Levin Fields, and there was one done on Horns Hill Park. And both of those projects net us about $1,000 a month or $10,000 a year in that area.
I was going to say, as I recall, it's about a $10,000 a year lease.
It is.
Aren't they typically a 40-year lease?
They're a long-term lease. Yeah, each of them's different. One of them's a 20 with another 20 tacked on it, but they're long-term leases. We've been out there. We've looked at a potential area. Haven't necessarily centered on the area yet. Buster's involved, to kind of look it out to make sure we don't have any conflicts, and it would just be additional income for the city that we could put in on our income as we do our budget each year.
Sounds great. Any questions from the committee?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Lang.
Treasurer Rhodes.
Frazier.
What does the payment structure look like with respect to the service company we'd be hired? Is it like a commission basis, or how
No, the people that put the tower there pay them, so we don't pay them at all.
Oh, sorry, I saw it as a consultant. I assume.
Yeah, they're a consultant for the company that like to put a tower in.
Understood. Sorry.
Yep.
This is straight income,
Yep.
no outflow at all.
No, I follow.
Mr. Cost?
Did cell tower or what with?
Could be either a cell tower or some type of a dish. Again, we haven't settled on that exactly. They've just identified this area as a good area to transmit data or voice.
Okay, motion by Bub, seconded by Lang. Any questions from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing this on to council signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. This committee will be adjourned. Up next will be Safety Committee.
All right, I'd like to call the Safety Committee meeting to order. Present are members Blake, Rath, myself, Frazier, and Fennell. And this evening we will have our Fire Chief, Chief Connor, come forward and give us a brief summary on the 2018 annual report for the Division of Fire. Chief, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everybody. Tonight we're going to talk about 2018. I sent all of you a copy of the annual report for 2018. It is on our website for you to view. If you'd like to go ahead and take a look at that. If you didn't want to pull up the email, you can pull it up online, and several other past years for some comparison on data and those types of things. But today I'm going to just explain to you a little highlights of a few things that are going on here in the fire department in 2018, and then at the end I'll give you a few of our goals for 2019, and just kind of bring you up to speed on what's going on in the fire department. Just to kind of make it very basic, last year we had 11,236 total runs. In Newark, EMS represented 9,754 and fire was 1,482 runs. Monday was the busiest EMS day of the week, with 1 o'clock in the afternoon being the busiest time throughout the year. We averaged 936 runs a month, about 30 runs a day in the fire department. The annual budget for 2018 was $9.314 million. And that 89% of that representing personnel costs and 11% representing operating costs. EMS revenue last year, the actual revenue was $1.529 million. And of that, the fire department gets 40% of that by legislation, Resolution 1230. We get 40% of that money. Of that 40%, it's broken down on how we spend that money. So hiring and maintaining firefighters is 60% of that, 40%. At $367,000. 20% goes to replacing transport units, our medic units on the street. That's $122,000. 15% is EMS supplies and billing fees. Since we bill, we provide our own EMS supplies. We're required to stock those and replace those. That was $91,000 into that. And 5% is capital improvements for improving fire station property and buildings. In 2018, we hired 9 firefighters. That keeps us in compliance with the federal SAFER grant. We are at 79 full-time firefighter paramedics right now. That is full staffed. Our recent hire about a month ago brought us to 79. Just a fun fact about it, the average age of the Newark Fire Department is 41 years old, with the oldest being 56 and the youngest being 22. Years of service, we have a 34-year veteran has the most years currently, and it's an average of about 16 years of service for the average fire department years of service. Just thought that was kind of an interesting fact. In compliance, we have a compliance chief that maintains all of our records. Division policies, once again, annually are reviewed and updated. Those are sent around to the executive staff, firefighters, to review those policies and make sure that we are current with what we're doing here at the Newark Fire Department and update them. Physical resources, is always very busy in physical resources. Chief Nick Simmons manages that for our division. And we're most proud of last year and your support and the administration's support for purchasing a ladder truck. which is right under $900,000. This truck will service us well. It is currently stationed at Station 3 at West Main Street in Cherry Valley, where it is staffed every day to respond on calls. So we're very happy about that. We also purchased a new staff vehicle, an EMS response vehicle that is stationed at Station 1. It is still in the process of getting all of the radios and the computer equipment put in it. So we're running an older staff car right now that's on its last leg, honestly, until we can get that vehicle. It should go in service this week, hopefully. We retrofitted a reserve medic unit into a bariatric truck. We have a higher call volume every year for bariatric patients that require more comfort as we're transporting them to the hospital. This bariatric unit has a 1,600-pound cot that is a ramp and winch system, so we can load a patient more comfortably on a medic, and instead of having somebody injure their back, a winch rolls it right up into the back of the medic unit. The medic unit's not in the greatest shape, but the call volume's lower compared to the other medics, and we're working through the maintenance issues to keep that on the street. We were awarded $73,500 in the Assistance to Firefighters grant, which purchased some new Marks radios, our communications radios, batteries, and a fire gear washer and dryer for Station 2, which didn't have that, Hollander Street. Obviously, the cancer prevention is huge right now. If you watch the news, you see a lot of the fire departments. There's a spotlight on cancer in the fire service. So we're trying to retrofit all of our firehouses with the ability to clean your protective gear after a fire and clean your skin, be a clean, more healthy person in the firehouse to try to reduce the incidence of cancer. So we did receive a grant. It's almost $75,000 for some of those safety equipment. In EMS, we've updated our medical protocol, and we continue to have a partnership with Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center through their medical direction. Dr. Ashley Larimore is our medical director. We have to have a medical director in order to operate on the street as paramedics and EMTs. She writes all of our protocol, she trains us on the protocol, and that's why you see paramedic units on the street administering cardiac medications and doing all that we do. We do it under her license. We have our state certifications, but it's her medical license that we operate under. She's very active with us, trains with us, reviews our calls, and is involved in our organization. Very lucky to have her in that partnership with Ohio State. We purchased a new LifePak 15. The LifePak 12s, which are our heart monitors, every so many years they go out of date, they move on to the next one, and we struggle to outfit our department with those. They're $35,000 a piece. So we have one more to purchase now, and we will be up to speed with new LifePak 15 model heart monitors. We also have new pediatric airway devices, and we've been trained on those in order to better serve the pediatric community in Newark by protecting their airway and having a more advanced way of dealing with that. With that in mind, we also trained 17 of our paramedics to advanced airway techniques with the introduction of paralytic medications. So we have the ability to take someone's airway in a trauma situation, in a bad respiratory situation, and gain a definitive airway on a patient, saving their lives. So this comes through our new medical direction through Ohio State University. So we're cutting edge. We're staying on top of what we can do as paramedics on the street of Newark and providing the best care that we can. We have equipped all of our 9 cardiac monitors with the ability to transmit EKGs. Licking Memorial Hospital has been wonderful in helping us with this cardiac the monitors and the modems on the scene. We can actually do a 12-lead EKG on a patient that's having a heart attack and send that to the hospital where their STEMI team and their heart team is ready to go as we walk in the door. Before, they were just on the medic units, and the engines and other trucks that had these monitors didn't have the ability to transmit what they were seeing. So we've now completed that. So anyone on the street with a heart monitor can send the information to Licking Memorial. They're ready to go. And it will save lives. We trained 107 adults in CPR and first aid in our community. And I know that a hot topic here, as far as the media is concerned, is overdose and the opiate epidemic in the nation. Well, last year in 2018, we averaged 1 overdose every 5 days. We spent about $4,000 on Narcan last year. That's down from the year before, where we spent almost $10,000. And we attribute that to the health department providing some of the Narcan to us for free, and also the availability of the people in the community to access Narcan. outside of the emergency setting. So we're not having to purchase as much. There's many people that already have it on the street. We used Narcan 119 times on 119 different runs in 2017, and we were down to 91 in 2018. Now, we used multiple doses on some of those runs, so we still had a large volume of Narcan that we were using. However, it does seem that they were trending in the right direction as far as that's concerned. Measuring the overdose runs in Newark is difficult because we have so many types of overdoses. We have alcohol overdoses, we have methamphetamine overdoses, we have opiate overdoses. So we have all kinds of different overdoses, so it's hard to break those down as far as a metric is concerned. But methamphetamine seems to be the drug of choice right now locally. It's not really the opiates, it's the methamphetamines. It's cheaper, and that's what we're seeing more of as far as overdoses are concerned. I'm happy to say we're recognized again by the American Heart Association for the Heartline Award. That's 3 or 4 years running now that we've had a relationship, our response on the streets, and our relationship with Licking Memorial Hospital. It's the American Heart to recognize that and give us an award. So we're happy to say that we did that again in 2018. We also have an excellent relationship with the Ohio Board of Pharmacy. A lot of things happen in the back end of a fire department and an EMS division, but we have to have our pharmacy license to operate. And we have regular checks. We have situations, the documentation, and all of the documentation from our medical director, our EMS staff. So we have a great relationship and have no problems with Board of Pharmacy. So that's a very important part of providing EMS on the street in Newark every day. Moving on to prevention, we had 945 fire safety inspections last year. 9 juvenile fire setters were educated. 251 customers in the community received fire safety education. And we had 4 fireworks shows that were safely managed and conducted without any injuries. We have an arson investigator that's a 31-year veteran of the Newark Fire Department. 17 years he's been investigating arson fires in our community. He is, the year before last, we sent him to OPATA. He is now a reserve officer for Newark Police as well, and he has the tools, more tools in his toolbox to get the job done, because many arson is a crime and is a law enforcement matter. He works very closely with Newark Police. We're happy to say our relationship has grown with Newark Police over the last several years. So we're very happy that he's able to do that now. He conducted 108 investigations last year. We had 1 civilian fatality in the city of Newark last year on East Channel Street, and 12 people were charged with a fire-related crime. So he's very, very busy with one person doing 100 investigations in a year's time. It's a very thankless job to investigate arson fires. Okay, a few goals. We need to address the emergency reporting software that we have. The vendor has been bought out, and it's not providing the technical support that we need. So we're looking into options right now to be able to access our past records and move on in a way where we can easily use our records management system for EMS. We'd like to increase the fire safety inspections and present a fee schedule legislation for approval to council. I think you'll see that in the very near future. We'll discuss that with the safety director and the mayor. We're going to try to catch up with what other cities our size are doing, and that's a fee schedule. The Ohio Fire Code allows us to do that, and it helps us to have the ability to enforce our standard at the Ohio Fire Code in our community. Vehicle replacement schedules for our apparatus replacement. We're doing much better with our apparatus. However, we're looking forward to potentially opening a new fire station. That legislation hopefully will be coming forward soon, and we'll have to probably look at replacing some fire apparatus as we move forward for that. We'd like to identify the cost associated with that fire station as well. The furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and those types of things. So we'll be getting organized about when we open a fire station, what exactly do we need, and be very careful with the money that we spend and do the right thing for the community. We'll continue to apply for the SAFER grant. We're working with Barbara Gilks right now, the IAFF, my staff, and the administration on putting together a narrative for the next SAFER grant. We'd like to hire 5 additional SAFER firefighters to help us staff currently and in the future. So we're looking forward to putting that together and submit that very soon here. We have acquired additional grant funding. We're trying to acquire additional grant funding for power cots in all of our medic units. As I stated before, we have a bariatric situation in our community that requires us to have patients that are larger and don't fit on our current equipment. The power cots are what many fire departments are going to and lessens back injuries. The BWC also recognizes this and gives grant money. We do have an Assistance to Firefighters grant out right now to buy 4 new power cots. With fingers crossed on getting those. They're about $45,000 a piece, and we want 4. So we're hoping that we can come through on that grant. We'd like to purchase a medic unit this year. We are due for a paramedic unit and also a staff vehicle. We're in need of several staff vehicles. We're hoping to at least get one this year to try to get us through the year. Something to note that's been really, as I mentioned before, our relationship with Newark Police Department is better than I've seen it in 25 years, in my opinion. We are training with the Newark Police Department on active shooter events, on policies that cross over with the police department. And we have a active shooter training at Newark Catholic coming up on May 15th, where the students and staff will be able to be there. We're going to utilize their building. And also Newark High School, we're going to do an event at Newark High School as well. That date has yet to be determined. But that relationship with, we have 2, what they call SOG paramedics, Special Operations Group. It's Newark's SWAT team. We have trained two of our paramedics to be a part of that team. So they are activated on their raids. They're activated on all of their, anytime the SOG team goes out, our 2 paramedics are there to protect them. And they've already saved 2 lives of people within our own organization having cardiac events and other medical events. But we're training them in the medical side of it, and they're training our guys on the police side of it. It's a very good relationship, and it's working well. On that same note, I will note, getting away from my notes just for a moment, we have noticed the relationship with the police department is better than it's ever been because we're training them on CPR, we're training them on bandaging, we're training them on emergency response. They seem to get there sometimes before us, and we've had multiple Newark police officers doing chest compressions on cardiac arrest patients, controlling bleeding on people that are bleeding, and it's just I'm happy to see the relationship where we're all working for one common goal, is to protect the people in Newark. And I'm just very happy that we're working. Chief Connell and myself have worked very hard to put those things together, and it's coming together very nicely. So the last noteworthy items, the grant money we talked about, just want to bring, to try to lessen the burden on the city budget. I think we worked very hard to bring external money into the city at the fire department. Safer Grant last year brought in $200,000 towards staffing. We applied for a grant through Firehouse Subs, almost $19,000 they provided for turnout gear. The Shriners Grant gave us $9,000. We bought 7 new SCBA masks for our bottles we wear on our backs that have thermal imaging cameras in them. So the firefighters that are crawling around in the houses can look down and see the thermal signature and find people trapped in homes faster. The state EMS gave us $3,500, and we put that towards some of our bariatric needs, towards the bariatric unit that we have in service now. AFG, I mentioned before, was $73,500 with the washer and dryer. And the BWC gave us $8,800 last year for a turnout gear washer. So that's about $313,000 in external money. Helps the capital budget, helps the city budget by trying to get those monies in. And that's not to mention the $1.5 million in EMS revenue we're bringing in to help out that as well, which some capital money is involved in that as well. So we're trying to do our part every year to try to bring in money and alleviate the burden on the city budget for some of the capital items that we need. So with that being said, I'll take any questions that you might have.
Thank you for that update, Chief Connor. I appreciate that. And personally speaking, I appreciate all you do every day and your staff does to keep us safe, both on the fire side as well as EMS.
Thank you.
With that, does the committee have any questions for the fire chief? Mr. Frazier.
Have we seen any evidence of the additional washing and a reduction of cancer rates? Is that data still out, or is the cancer issue still there and we're just trying to find ways to reduce it?
Without a complete, the statistics in front of me, yes, there is a significant decrease in the amount of cancer. Obviously, this is very new, so data is new. However, they are finding that on our gear is the carcinogens from fires. Fires are different now than they were 100 years ago or 50 years ago because of the composite materials that they're building the homes in, the cushions on your couches, those types of things, linoleum floors. They burn and produce cancer-causing smoke that gets into your skin. You absorb it through your pores, onto your equipment, into your fire trucks, into your medic units, the steering wheels, all those things. We decon those things regularly to try to keep those cancer-causing carcinogens away. We're trying to wipe ourselves down at fire scenes as much as we can with baby wipes just before we can get a shower back at the fire station. So the data is up and coming. We are currently in a study with Baylor University where they have reached out to me. Honestly, they saw us on YouTube, and they see we had quite a few fires, so they wanted to be able to do a study with us. So what happens is, after a working fire right now, we are sending our bunker gear to them, mailing it to them, and they are buying us brand new gear. So that's another way we're trying to. They're testing them for cancer-causing carcinogens on our gear, so we're actually benefiting from that by getting new replacement bunker gear for our firefighters after a fire. So that's been going on for almost 6 months now, so we've benefited from that. But yes, it's a hot topic right now. Since in my career, I've lost 2 of our firefighter friends here to cancer, so it does touch us here in Newark. We have a high call volume of fires in this town. We always have. And it's something we have to address and that we are addressing. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah.
It's kind of long-winded.
Yeah, I did have a couple of questions. First off, in a statement, you mentioned the mask that you have with the heat signatures. And ironically enough, I think it was just this week, or actually today's Tuesday, so it was probably last week, it all blends in. But probably last week I read an article about those masks and saw a video, and rescue times I know are significantly decreased utilizing that technology, and it seems that's very top of the line, very modern, very progressive technology.
Sure.
And it's exciting to hear that we have that to our...
Absolutely. The Shriners have been wonderful for us. They've purchased some thermal imaging cameras for us in the past. Judge Wright's always sponsored us. You have to have a sponsor from the Shriners. He's always been there to sponsor us, and we write the grant, and it's been wonderful. We've really, those are going to save lives in the community. Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow, but for sure going to save lives. So we're very happy to get those. Anytime we get a chance to improve the tools in our toolbox to save lives, we're going to do that.
I can certainly appreciate his passion for that as well. I know
Yes.
he's a firefighter
He
as
is.
well.
He
So
is.
that's great. I know you said our arson investigator is now powder certified.
Correct.
And it's great. And I think anybody that enforces the law should be. I like that. Our 2 SOG medics,
Yes.
are those also powder certified?
They are not. However, there's a House bill that just passed in Ohio allowing the weapons to be carried while they're involved in those situations. They had not been carrying those weapons. But the House bill has passed. Chief Connell and myself have met with the administration, and we are moving forward with the ability to train and have them be able to safely carry and protect themselves on those events. That is something that is, since that House bill passed, many fire departments are moving forward in this direction. As I stated before, the EMS and police partnerships just get stronger and stronger as we move forward. And Newark Police is very highly trained with weapons, has weapons instructors, and they're training our 2 SOG paramedics to be able to handle and carry during those events. So I support that because I would like them to be able to protect themselves.
I had an opportunity to see them in action in a SOG training exercise. And I know that the police officers, I asked them about them, and the police officers spoke very, very highly of them, considered them to be as much a member of the team as the guy standing next to them, and very appreciative of the fact that they're there.
It's not just anybody off of our fire department that does this. It's 2 specific people in order, because it's a very tight group of people. It's a very stressful, dangerous environment they're going into. These 2 people they're training with them. They're going to all the runs with them. They spend a lot of hours at the police department with them. It's not just we show up on runs together. There is a lot of training that goes involved. Training just to get them to where they are today, then the training with the Newark Police Department provides on top of that. So they have done a very, very good job, and they're instrumental in putting together the situation we're going to have, the training at Newark Catholic coming up here very soon. So,
Well, like I said, I know the SOG officers that I talked to are incredibly appreciative.
appreciate that. Thank you.
And them being here.
Mr. Frazier.
Would you say that we've had an uptick in fire over the last year from the previous year, or has it remained?
We did have an uptick in fires. We had quite a few more fires. However, it's more attributed to garage fires this year, believe it or not. We had quite a few outbuilding and garage fires. Why is that? I know I've been asked this before while I stand here. These things I can't put my finger on. Our arson investigators not finding anything specific that's tied to any type of reason why that happens. This is the way it's always been. We have a rash of house fires, then we'll have a rash of commercial fires, then we'll have a rash of garage or outbuilding fires and vehicle fires. So in this case, this past year, we had quite a few garage fires, which we did investigate each one. Like I said before, he did have some, I think 12 people that were charged with fire-related crimes. It is a very, very difficult job to determine exactly what caused a fire when there's nothing left to investigate. We've had that many, many times before. Tim Smith, who is our investigator, is the best investigator I've ever worked with, and I've worked on several fire departments with other investigators and the State Fire Marshal's office as well. He's very detailed, does a very, very good job, very trustworthy person, and very educated. So we trying to give him all the tools that he can to do a better job. He's doing a great job right now, just trying to keep up. We could probably have 3 full-time investigators and keep them busy, but we don't have the ability to do that, obviously. So, but yeah, there is an uptick this year in fires, but they're outbuilding fires. And thankfully, it's sad that we had 1 fatality in Newark, but the amount of fires that we had, I'm thankful it wasn't anymore. Our firefighters do an outstanding job putting fires out. They are very versed in what they do. If you've ever got a chance to watch, I know Mayor Hall's been to many, many fire grounds, safety director, and some of you, if you watch these guys and gals at work, it's impressive. They're very, very good at what they do, and it shows.
Mr. Fennell.
Yes, you mentioned the SAFER grant that you're continuing to apply for. Is that for 5 additional?
It is for 5 additional, yes. It would take us to 84. The balance is trying to, there's a match to this grant, 65%, 35%. I'll have to look at it again. I just got the email from Barbara Gilks the other day. However, I want to measure how many people we can realistically hire and pay those matching wages without having to lay anyone off in the future. There are many fire departments, not many, there are several that I'm aware of that have hired a dozen firefighters and then potentially had to lose some of those people. Our attrition has slowed down a little bit. We've got 2 retirements, I believe, coming up in this year, at the end of this year, middle and end of this year. So we're not looking or anticipating a whole bunch of people leaving at this point. So I want to be very careful on the amount of people. So that number is we sit down and run the numbers and see what we can come up with that's a safe amount of people that I can hire and they can retire from here someday. Because the SAFER grant goes away after 3 years and they're fully funded at that point. So we want to make sure that we have the budget in line. It's very difficult to forecast where the economy is going to be in 3 years from now. Everything seems fine right now, but I don't want to ever have to lay anyone off at the fire department. So we're careful. That's how we try to pick that number. Of course, I would love to hire 12 people. I could put them to work, but I need to make sure it's a fine balance that the city can manage those wages. Hopefully that makes sense.
This should be my last question.
That's all right.
When it comes to firefighters, so we kind of brushed on the carcinogen and the cancer rates. When it comes to additional physical health items that we have, whether it's healthy eating, cardiovascular, and also PTSD with the mental health aspect, is there items like that that we need to address in the coming years to keep our firefighters safe?
That's a very good question. We have an annual physical right now that is a blood draw. It's a full comprehensive physical once a year that all of our firefighters go through that has identified in many cases over the years people that had cancer, people that had a heart condition they were unaware of, and so forth. So in my opinion, it's already saved lives. As far as the cancer prevention, hopefully some of those things will be caught on some of those blood tests and some of those exams by our Licking Memorial Hospital. Occupational health is our physician that supervises our physician for our physicals every year, and it is a comprehensive. I go through it as well. Just from me on down, everybody gets a physical once a year, and it's very interesting. Some of the things that you see. We've been working with our employees to be healthier. We were exercising more, providing exercise equipment for them, providing showers in our new fire station downtown. It's a beautiful place where you can actually go and get a hot shower after a fire, get your pores cleaned out. Mental health is a major thing. As many of you read the article in the paper that we have one of our firefighters who is very courageous, very courageous to come out and tell and lead the way here locally with post-traumatic stress. We are the IAFF is putting on a peer support training program coming up next week, where we're going to start training some of our firefighters within the Newark Fire Department to be able to be those peer support people and be able to recognize people in our organization that might be struggling and get them pointed in the right direction for the help that they need. This is not only a situation, but more firefighters and police officers died last year from suicide than in the line of duty. So it's definitely a situation that needs to be addressed. PTS is not PTSD anymore. That's post-traumatic stress. They're not calling it a disorder anymore. It's something that is not just military-based anymore. It is emergency responders, police and fire and EMS are experiencing these problems. So it was a burden, not a burden, it was a weight on my shoulders when I find out that I have multiple people in my organization that have an issue with this. I can put fires out, I can do a budget, I can go on EMS runs, I can take care of people, but my education, most fire chiefs' education is not in post-traumatic stress. Most people throughout America don't know much about post-traumatic stress. It's just the people from Vietnam, and that's those. No, we've had many wars since then. We have EMS. So my goal this year is to really get the word out, support the people in our organization that are having issues and struggling, get them the help that they need in any way I possibly can, and educate myself and my staff on exactly what we need to do. Multiple conferences and weekend events I will be attending to just get as much knowledge as I can on the topic to be able to help them. I'm going to lean on some of the people, the peers, the firefighters that are working. They're the best ones to know who's struggling and the best people to help others as well. They seem to find out that peer support is the best way to go. Firefighters only want to talk to other firefighters. They don't really want to talk to someone else. So we'll get the ball rolling with that. That's a long-winded answer, but I'm glad you brought that up because I'm very passionate about that. I love the people that work at the fire department. They're all absolutely wonderful people, and you don't want to see your friends struggling like that. And so I take that very, very seriously. Thank you for asking.
And if I may just follow up, I had the opportunity to go on runs with Jason Huffer, and those guys are phenomenal professionals and know it inside and out. And as a city, we've always been very supportive of our safety forces and have always tried to support. And I know that the administration and council will be amenable to anything to help the people that are the first responders and have to see the chaos and the destruction and whatever we can do to help. We'd absolutely would love to help.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other questions from the committee at this point? I know the Chief will be available for questions afterwards also as well, but are there any questions from the audience? We might have time for maybe 2 or 3 if anyone has any questions for the Chief. All right, fantastic. Well, Chief, thank you for all you do again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I appreciate what you do professionally, but also on the soft side of things, being concerned about those that you work with and serve with, and being able to serve them well. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And with that, the Safety Committee meeting will adjourn, and we'll start council at 7 o'clock.
Thanks, Chief. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.